I'm dating coach and relationship expert Jennifer Hurwitz, and welcome to Doing Relationships Right. Raw, authentic, and insightful, this podcast is a no bullshit look at all things dating and relationships. The good, the not so good, and the what the hell was that? No worries, I've got you, and we'll figure it all out together without taking ourselves too seriously here on Doing Relationships Right. Here you are at midlife. Your boobs have entered a new zip code. You have genes older than your daughter's new fiance, and now you're single again. But is that cause for a crisis? Hell no. It's time to pick yourself up, Buttercup. Whether you're freshly unhitched, just dipping your toesies back into the dating pool, or ready to dive into a new relationship, my new book, Midlife Priceless, a dating coach's guide to finally doing relationships right, has you covered with new dating and relationship advice tailored to meet you wherever you are in your relationship journey. Join me, Jennifer Hurwitz, author of best-selling books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, as I share BS-free tips and laugh out loud personal anecdotes to help set you on the path toward finally doing dating and relationships right. Grab your copy of my new book, Midlife Priceless, at jenniferhurwitz.com. That's jenniferhurwitz.com. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I am just so excited to be here because I'm looking at my girlfriend, Samantha. Hi, Dr. Sam. Dr. Sam Gambino is here. Did I say it right? Gambino?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I'm so good at this. I want to read your bio today, Dr. Sam. Dr. Sam is here, you guys. And I'm just so excited because I'm just enamored. First of all, I just have to say this before I do anything else. Your Instagram, everyone needs to go see Dr. Sam Gambino. Her Instagram feed is fantastic. Okay. She is the founder of Strong and Mindful. That's right?
Correct.
Yes, Sam? Yes, it's new. It's new. A woman-led consulting agency dedicated to building mental wellness in the face of stress and challenges. Samantha is a licensed psychologist and wellness expert with over 20 years of experience. And I'm lucky enough to have you here today. How are you, darling?
I'm lucky enough to be here today. I'm great. I'm doing great.
Yay, 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 yay. I just love you, and I love your Instagram feed, and I love all that you do. And you're just like a breath of fresh air, which I think that's why we connected we connected on Instagram.
So nicely,
I feel like we just
right?
found each other. We just found each other. I feel like everything you post is positive and smart, and it's not only like information. It's not just information. It's like thought nuggets of fabulous stuff.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I put a lot of thought into it, in terms of to present stuff from another angle that people may not always think about. I think that can be helpful.
Yes, I do. And I think I think you're fabulous. So today we're going to talk about, if you don't mind talking about, because I'm having some issues, boundary issues. And I really think that this is one of your jams, talking about boundaries and mindfulness and all this good stuff. And I'm going to stop talking so that you can talk, but boundary setting as a form of self-care. I don't think people understand this. I really don't. I know that I have a hard time with it because, Sam, I feel like when I set a boundary and I use the word no, because I'm a people pleaser, which is really what drew me to your Instagram feed, because you did a lot of stuff on this, people pleasing. Mm-hmm. And I'm a people pleaser and I want to say yes all the time. And then when I say no, I have this horrible guilt.
First of all, I want to say that's very normal. Like, setting boundaries is not easy. It's very complicated and a lot goes into it, and we all have different boundaries. So part of this is knowing what are my boundaries and what am I trying to do with my boundary. It's funny. I told you and you said about strong and mindful. I just did a presentation in a setting in an organization about boundary setting as a form of self-care, because it really is. People think self-care is self-care means different things to different people, right? But when I think of self-care, I think of taking care of yourself on the inside, right? And how do you do that? I don't think of like buying something in this form of self-care. I think of like, what am I doing to myself and how do I take care of myself? And boundaries is a huge way. Why is that? Because a boundary protects your space, right? Let's use the example of saying no. You are saying no to someone else or their request or their ask because it doesn't work for you for some reason, whether it's you don't have time, you don't want to, you're too busy. It could be many things. It's not comfortable to you. And by saying no to that person, you're protecting like an internal space in yourself where you know that this is not a fit So the first thing in setting boundaries is understanding, like, what are your feelings, right? Like, what do you want to set a boundary around? When someone asks you, right, hey, do you want to like spend all day Saturday together and do blah, 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 take my kids here, come with me here, do this, go to my kids' football game or this, or, and you really just don't want to do that. You have to pay attention to those feelings inside of you that say, that's the last thing I want to do on Saturday. Are you kidding me? Right? Your feelings are your guidebook for this. So when you listen to your feelings, you are really in control to be able to say, I that sounds like a great day, but it just does not work for me. Or I'm not available to do that, because if you go and do that, you're going to end up feeling angry, resentful,
yes,
taken advantage of, right? In a way that does not feel good. You're going to be putting on a face on Saturday, right? Your day off, where you're pretending that you're having a good time. And when you do that internally, you just don't feel good. Like, that is not a situation that's rewarding and nurturing and satisfying at all.
And you know what else that happens with me is that I do that. And I end up either doing one of two things. I either end up going, being annoyed, angry, resentful, like you're telling me, or I lie. And I make up some fakakta reason why I can't go. And then I'm like sitting there feeling guilty that not only did I make up some reason I couldn't be there, but then I'm like having to stay home because I lied about where else. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want to get busted.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sam, it's not good.
Girl.
It's not.
You got to change this around.
Exactly. I feel so guilty that God forbid I have to come up with some flippin' crazy ass plan because I can't go on Saturday.
That's right. And you're like me, Mo, going out with your baseball hat on, like incognito, to be like, I don't want anyone to see me. Yes. God forbid.
Yes. Why can't I just say no? I feel like no is a full sentence. Can't I just say no? I can't be there.
What do you think you're worried about?
I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to show. It's like one of those things. Like I don't want them to be mad at me or angry that I need some help. Dr. Sam. Okay. I don't want them to be angry with me that I can't be there.
I understand that. And maybe there's a way you're afraid that if you say no, they are going to be angry and they're going to abandon you in some way. Right. And that does not feel good. Right. There's a worry. Yeah. But I'm going to add two thoughts here. Right. One, a close friend is never going to leave you because you say no. A close friend is going to respect that and understand, like, oh, like my girl Jen needs some time to herself. Like, so I'm happy that she's telling me that, right? She's being honest with me. And that's going to feel nice in the friendship. And it's going to bring you guys closer because you can reveal what's really going on for you. Number two is this idea of you're worried about hurting someone else's feelings, but actually, like, I call it like it is. You're hurting your own feelings by putting the other person first, right? And kind of neglecting yourself. And what you see when you start doing this, it's like this cascading waterfall, because your close friends who are there for you and love you for who you are, they're going to understand when you say no, and they're going to respect that, right? Unless you say no to every little thing. But I know that's not what you're talking about.
No, I'm not different.
No, but the friends who get really annoyed at you, right, and think you're being mean, or they take it personal, or they tell you how angry they are at you, those are friends and friendships. Like, if that's constantly their response, that you have to look at, because that person is not there for you to be able to say, right, I'm so happy you're taking time for yourself if that's what you need. Like, I know you run 15 million different jobs and have a gazillion things going on. You're busy, right? Like, you're probably tired on the weekend. So I get it as a friend that you need space. And thank you for being honest with me. That's a good friend, right? A friend who says, what, blah, 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 right? You need space.
Or like this. Like, back.
Yeah, right. You don't need that friend.
No. Exactly. And you're right. And what's funny is that I've gotten so much better within the last couple of years since I've started working on myself and finding people like you and reading about it and studying it. Because when I was younger, it ate, like in my 20s and 30s, when I was such a people pleaser, it ate me alive. Of course. Like, I really struggled with. But now to set a boundary is much easier. It feels so much better to say, I can't make it, can't do it.
That's right.
That's right. Let me check my calendar. Oh God, I can't.
That's right. I think also it's important, right, to know that when you tune into how you feel, right, that you don't want to do something, because that takes slowing down. that takes you thinking, okay, I have to really assess, how is it going to feel on a Tuesday night if I have to do something at 9:30 at night? It's not going to feel good, right? So how can you just take that pause, sit with yourself and your feelings and say, I don't want to do that. Even if it sounds like fun on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock, like I'm tired. So that's not what I want to do. So your first step is slowing down to tune in to how you imagine it's going to feel. The next step is to then communicate that with enough time, right? And space. So it's not something you mention in passing if it's a close friend or they're expecting you to come. It's something you say, listen, I really have to talk to you about that plan for Tuesday night. Like, can we catch a few minutes on the phone? And then to structure it, right? Because also that's a boundary of putting a boundary in place to saying, I want to structure a conversation with you and be direct and say, this is what's going on. It doesn't work for me. There's different ways to say, right? Depending on how close the person is, you might want to explain what's going on for you or why it doesn't work, right? If it's someone that you're not that close, you can just give them a generic, like, I would love to do that, but I just don't have the time right now. If something changes, I'll let you know. Right. And that's a very nice kind of gentle way of saying thank you, but no thank you. It just doesn't work for me. Right.
That's interesting that even if you do make the plans and you realize they're not going to work for you, that you're able to create that space for a conversation. And then, because a lot of times I don't do that. I'll make the plans 3 weeks from now thinking I'll be fine on that Tuesday night. And then Tuesday rolls around and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to that event. And then I'm stuck with either going and resenting it. That's a great learning
experience. Yes, that's a great learning experience because then you tune into the anger and the resentment, and that can be your guide for the next time someone asks you to do something on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. So use it to your advantage as like a learning experience to say, you know what, that Tuesday didn't feel good for me. So probably another Wednesday or even a Thursday or something may not feel good for me. So I have to listen to that. I tell people all the time, like, your feelings are your guidebook. You open up yourself, you look at your feelings, and this is kind of how you determine what you want to say yes to and what you want to say no to. In the workplace, I've presented this in terms of boundary, because people will say, yeah, but my boss is saying you have to do this. I have all these demands on me. To slow it down and say, this is really what I'm able to do by this time, right? And this is what I can do afterwards, or to sit with your supervisor or whomever and say, what is the priority? Because 50 things are not a priority. They're just not. Even though it may feel that way, right? 50 things are not a priority. So it can be collaborative to say, help me figure out the priorities because I'm really not able to do all this and do a good job at it. I can do this, but I'm going to be half-assing this, and there's going to be mistakes here. It's going to be errors, and I want to do a good job because I take pride in my work. So let's sit together and figure this out and guide me in terms of how to prioritize this. And that's you setting a boundary, saying, I can't do it all 100% of the time.
I think we talked about that when we were talking about our social media and doing our reels and talking about our Instagram.
Oh, God, yes.
It's like, oh my God, there's not enough time in the day to do it all and do it, fabulously. You have to take, something. And I feel the same way. I'm all over the place and I threw up everything. And I'm like, but it has to be, you're right. And I never realized that you have to set a boundary for that as well. Like saying to yourself,
Absolutely.
I'm going to do. Yeah. Interesting. It's just
right.
really, I didn't realize how difficult it was to set boundaries,
there's
especially
a lot
when you're
that
type A.
Me too. Absolutely. Me too. And then I found myself, this took me time to learn because I would be running all over the place, saying yes, trying to build a business, saying yes, 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 yes. And I found myself just without boundaries, you're tired, you're burnt out, right? And that's what, our country is suffering from burnout right now and
right.
feeling
Let's talk about
exhausted.
That. Yes,
and
please.
Running around trying to think about, okay, my next massage, I'm going to then feel better. And these are all short-term fixes where the internal work, that's why I call boundaries, like I have a presentation, boundaries as a form of self-care, because it's a way of taking care of yourself where you internally are taking care of your space, right? To say, no, it doesn't work for me. I need to relax on Saturday. I need to go for a walk with a close friend. I need to do things that are nourishing so that when I go back to my work week, I have a little energy and I feel a little recharged and I feel good.
Okay, y'all, we need to talk about the holidays and divorce. It's a stressful time for families, especially when alcohol is involved, and our friends at SoberLink want to help. SoberLink has teamed up with divorce and family law experts to provide information that offers peace of mind during the holidays. For those who still haven't heard about SoberLink, it is the solution if you are going through a divorce and custody case involving alcohol. Whether you are falsely accused of alcohol use or are concerned about your child's safety because of the other parent's alcohol use, SoberLink can help. SoberLink works to keep children safe, and its technology makes it a gold standard in alcohol monitoring systems. Don't miss out on SoberLink's free guide for the upcoming holiday season. Request it today at www.soberlink.com/DRR. That's soberlink.com. Yeah, we were talking about that before too, that there's mental health is suffering since COVID and we're like falling apart as a country.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about that. What do you think we should do? How do we do? Help us. I'm like,
I wish I had all the answers. That'd be amazing.
Sprinkle your magic, Dr.
Sam. It's so funny, but you know me. I mean, this is why you were saying, oh, wow, you have a consulting business. It's an outgrowth of COVID because I've been seeing this over and over again of people saying, we just don't know what to do. Like we have all these people we work with and like they are falling apart or they're needing to take mental health, like leaves of absences, and they want tools in the workplace because they're so stressed out that they're kind of falling apart and they're like busting at the seams. And that can come out as being angry, irritable, like pushing people away, you know, like not wanting to participate, feeling very disengaged. So it like Strong and Mindful is an outgrowth of that to say, you have to integrate people now at work. They want to feel cared for. It's not just now I come to work, I produce. It's a different ball game right now. Like employers need to understand people want to feel cared for. And so that's what an organization has to figure out how to do that. And so that's kind of been some of my work too, to say, listen, you need to put the productivity aside. The productivity and the emphasis on that will happen when people feel cared for because they're going to want to be motivated and engaged because they feel like they're valued at work. And when you feel like you're valued at work, you want to put in and it feels good. And like if your contributions are acknowledged, right? And there's a forum of talking about this stuff and feedback in a positive way. It's like energizing. People want to continue to do well. And so I think the workplace has really changed in this way of needing, like, whether it's the executives or the CEOs needing kind of guidance of sort of how to make people feel cared for. They will feel more engaged. It will drive your growth. They'll be more productive and it'll be a happier, like more like positive workplace. So it all goes together with tuning in and slowing down. And this is how we're going to prevent further burnout and like mental health breakdowns. It's terrible what's happening now. It really is. Oh my gosh,
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about calling my husband and having you go to his office in Chicago and talk. I mean, that's honestly because he's really into that too. Like he really, wants his employees to feel good about it. Like going to work should be like a positive experience and he's empathetic and he's kind. Like it's hard. Absolutely. I feel like that with dating too. I feel like the people, my clients they're just 100%. Exhausted. They're burned out. They don't want to date. They don't want to do it. Right. But it's funny because empathy is coming into play in mental health awareness with dating also. The trend is now to talk about, mental health and there's no shame in the game, right? People on their profiles are writing, I'm in therapy. And it's nothing that no one's hiding it anymore, right? Which is very interesting, the trend. So
that's right. I think it's beautiful, right? Because basically what they're saying is, I want you to be tuned into me and know like I'm comfortable enough in my own skin, right? Yep. Which is also like, in a way, a boundary of saying like, I'm in therapy, right? You're basically communicating, this is something, my mental health is something that's important to me. Absolutely. Right. And you're sending a message like, if you think you're going to treat me in a way that leaves me not feeling good, it's going to be a problem here.
Yeah, a huge one. And swipe
It's
left because it's not going to happen. Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
it is
right.
a boundary. You're right. Oh my gosh, it's so interesting to me, this whole thing. So keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just going to say, like, boundaries in dating, right? Of like what you're comfortable with, what you're not, like knowing that your sense of security in yourself needs to be well developed so that you're able to set a boundary and say, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't mean I don't like you or I'm not interested, but that doesn't work for me, because you're setting it up then to be a two-way relationship, where it's not just about what works for the other person, but it also includes what works for you. The only way the other person can know that is if you're clear and you communicate those boundaries. That's really, really important.
If you don't say what you want or what you need, how is the person supposed to know? They're not mind readers. I have that all the time with my clients. They're like, well, why didn't he know that? I'm like, did you tell him? Did you put it out there? You gotta use your words, y'all. You gotta use your
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and you also have to know within yourself, like, this is what you want, so that you can communicate it. So that's kind of like the first step, right? To be able to say, like, it's important to me that you check in the next day or something like this, whatever it is, so the person knows.
Right. Because some people are just not, people say to me all the time, they're like, well, he never texts back and he's not responsive. And I'm like, but did you tell him that's important to you? Did you set it up where your expectations? Did you say it?
I love that word.
On your first couple dates, like, it's really important to me that I could get a, check in the morning and a good night at night, because some people don't do that. So set up your expectations, right?
I love that. Yeah. I love that. That's a great word.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I thought it was my word. And then I went in Urban Dictionary and they already had it.
I thought it was mine.
Of course they do. I'm like, well,
I'm actually glad to hear they have it. That means, right?
I know, right? I thought husband was mine. I'm like, it's mine. I took for 9 years, husband. Then someone's like, I've heard that before. I'm like, no, you didn't.
You're like, that's my word. Let me talk about my boundaries. I invent my own words.
It's my own language. Now just stop that. Oh, I'm cracking up. Okay. So first of all, you're a psychologist. You've been for a very long time, right? 20 years?
Correct. Over 20 years.
And now you're transitioning into Strong and Mindful, which is are you consulting all over the country? Or is it Zoom?
I mean, I do so now. It's like the luxury of Zoom in terms of being able to do things that are like remote. I prefer in person, obviously, but like remote is just as good because it's kind of nice. You can see everybody, and there can be a camaraderie, you could say, right, that develops over Zoom in terms of these kinds of conversations. They bring people together, right? And also it allows people, if they're working from home, like nobody wants to come into the office if they're not coming into the office and then feel resentful. I have to come in for this like strong and mindful presentation kind of thing. It's like, no, that's not the way it's set up. So if it's more convenient to do it on Zoom, we do it on Zoom, or location wise, obviously, but yeah, it's to spread this word of like how to calm the mental health concerns in an agency so people can feel better. And when people feel better, they produce. I mean, I feel like CEOs and executives, they think of money producing, right? Products driving growth, which I completely understand. That comes though from a place of feeling good, feeling cared for, and feeling valued. And if you don't have that, the desire to produce and put yourself out there and be motivated is not there either.
Well, right. I mean, if you're not happy and you're not feeling good and you're not protected, your insides aren't feeling.
You don't feel cared for. That's right. You don't feel valued.
Yeah. Yuck. Do you think that obviously after COVID, they don't want to go back to the office, right? But do you think if people were maybe together and they went back to the office and we all had each other's support, and do you think it would be better for everybody? I mean, in your opinion?
I think it just depends. It's so complicated now with everyone's like life situation has changed so much. It does seem like a hybrid model is really nice because it gives people a chance to be in the office and connect. And that's the other thing, like they need opportunity to connect where it's not just like you're in the office for transactional kinds of like meetings and things like this, right? Because then that doesn't actually feel good to go into the office. So it's like how to make a hybrid hybrid model where even if you're only in 2-3 days a week, it's not all about, okay, well, we have to capitalize on these 2-3 days and all you do is work and produce. There has to be like mental wellness built into that space. So people want to come to the office and it feels good. I mean, when you're connecting with colleagues about feeling burnt out or feeling empty or feeling alone or feeling unmotivated, that's a gel, that's a glue that brings people together. And you can, the brainstorming and the support that happens in these groups, it's incredible and it's nurturing and people feel cared for and they want to be at work because there's this now like newfound emotional connection, which is wonderful.
It's very interesting to me that it took us this long.
I know. I never would have thought of this before. Right? Yeah. I never would have thought about
I'm
this
like,
before.
Why didn't where's the empathy? Like, I just think to myself, like, why haven't we always been empathetic and kind and good to each other? Like, it's just so, I'm glad we're finally tapping into it, but.
I am too. It's so funny because I'm not like a businesswoman or this, but like there was such this almost like desperate need for something like this that I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, people are so open and so receptive. And workplace cultures are changing, which is like so rewarding to see. Drop my earphone.
Oh, that's okay. We don't care. I've had stuff on this podcast. You would freak out. People answering the door, people with their cats, with their dogs, with their, we don't care.
I love it.
We just hang out over here and everyone just talks. And I just love it. I love what you're doing. I think that it's just so interesting to me and the boundary thing and it all ties together in the data. It's just, I think that people just want compassion and empathy and kindness. And yet we don't know how to do it. We just don't know how to do it. A lot of us.
I think you're right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And that, so quickly.
Those skills can be taught, which is important to know too, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I think that's super important. No, it's okay. I just was rambling, but it's funny to me because these kids, I say these kids because I'm so old, I am, but the younger generation of like my son, my 20-year-old and my 19-year-old with the iPads and the phones and the technology, and they're looking down at their apps and they don't know how to, have conversations.
And then like when they have to have a conversation, there's a lot of anxiety because it's not something that they've practiced or they've become a little bit more comfortable in, or even like have a little bit of a narrative for a script to be like, oh, I can talk about like the baseball game or this or that. Like it becomes very overwhelming and scary.
It is.
And that's a lot too. I mean, that's hard. That's hard because it's hard to build relationships then.
My son said that he goes to Newhouse at Syracuse, the Newhouse School, which is communications and sports, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And his classes are really small because the school is small within itself, within Syracuse. And he has a hard time going into class and talking to other kids. And I said to him, well, Jonah, what do you mean this is your thing? And he's like, it's just really tough, Mom. We're always on our phones. Like I have group chats with these kids outside of class, but when I get into class, we don't know what to say to each other.
So
and I'm like,
interesting.
oh my God. I'm like, what in the actual, like, it's very interesting to me that this is what's happening to our kids.
Yeah. I think there's a way, one, like lack of practice and like lack of skill building in a way, but also then I think the more you're on your phone, like the scarier it gets to interact in person and to use your voice, God, like to set a boundary. No way, right? That's way more comfortable to do in a text if you're going to set one. And there's a loss there of just like connectedness that can feel nurturing. And I think like, yeah, of course you can connect on text and on the phone and these things, but there's something like different that happens in person in terms of the chemistry, right? Think of you and I, like we're just like boom kind of thing. And it's nice. And that gets lost.
It does get lost. It does. And that's why the ghosting and dating and why people have no problem saying things that are just vile and disgusting and hurtful. Because when you say it via text, it doesn't feel human. It doesn't feel like that human connection. It feels like you're talking to but the person has a heart on the other line, on the other side of the, it's
That's
very,
right. And all of that gets lost.
Sad. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does. And
it's
then,
sad. It's
the
sad.
anxiety builds and I don't know. Oh, Dr. Sam, I just love you. I just love you.
Oh,
I
and
think
I
you're
love
awesome.
you too.
Okay.
I love all your advice and info about the dating and the analogies. The submarine one is my favorite. So it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So
I wish it was
for
mine.
that.
Oh, you're so welcome, honey. I just love you. So where can everybody find you?
Okay, so like you said, I'm on Instagram. I am at Samantha Gambino, PSYD, and I am at strongandmindfulnyc.com.
Awesome. And we're going to have everything in the show notes. So everybody can find you. And so if someone wanted to hire you to come and speak at their company, you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And if they're not, too close, we can Zoom.
There you go. Or they could fly you there.
Or they could fly me there. Absolutely.
There you go.
I would love that.
Just made some business for you. That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go, Dr. Sam Gambino. I just think you're fabulous. And
I
everyone should fly you.
my frequent flyer account.
Yes, you do. Everyone can fly Sam there to talk about all this stuff, and then you can fly me there, and I can talk about dating. We'll have a little party.
We would have a whole collab going. I mean, people would just be overwhelmed with our chemistry. I think we would blow it out of the water. They wouldn't know what to do with us. And they'd be laughing so hard, but they'd be educated too. It would be awesome.
They'd be like, I'm dating and I'm mindful and I'm boundaries and oh gosh. Okay, y'all, this has been awesome. And I'm so excited that you were here. Thank you so much for being here, honey.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your podcast. It's great. And all the work you're doing. It's really, really, it's so wonderful.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. Okay. So everybody go look and find Sam and Instagram and just check out her feed. It's just so good. Everything about it. Anyway, but that's that. And do something great today. Instead of a massage, do something for your insides. Your insides, like set a boundary. Everybody set a boundary today. Right. I'm going to go set a boundary today.
I love it.
Think of a
go
good
for
one.
it. You can do it. Think about what you want that boundary to be, what's going to feel good, and then how you want to communicate it. Use your self-care time to be like, what do I want to set a boundary about? Like, what's important to me that's bothering me? How do I want to do it? You can even write out the conversation beforehand and then go and execute and see how it feels.
Okay. Everyone do that today. Everybody set a boundary. Okay. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. There we go. Done. I'm setting a boundary, everybody. Everybody set a boundary today. And also, everybody, just get excited because wait a minute. Actually, this is airing. My pre-launch for my book was last Wednesday, because this is coming out after. So everyone should have the book in their hands right now. Oh, no. It's a pre-order. That's right. Pre-order. October 12th was the pre-order. And this is airing the Tuesday. So this is October 6th, 19th today. I don't know. Well, who cares? But it's fine. The pre-order for my book, Midlife Priceless, A Dating Coach's Guide to Finally Doing Relationships Right is my third book. And so go on my website, jenniferhurwitz.com, and order your book now because pre-orders will be signed. If you want a signed book, their pre-orders are signed and then they're not. Because I can only sign so many books. I can't be signing books forever.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. You got to draw a boundary. Can't be signing books forever.
There's my boundary. There you go. My boundary, everybody. I will not be signing books forever. Only the pre-ordered copies. There we go.
I'm pre-ordering mine.
I love pre-order. I'll find you a signed copy. Don't you worry. Okay, everybody. Have a great day. Do something fabulous for yourself. Set a boundary and peace, love, and so much truth. Y'all be good. Thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Bye, Sam. Thanks. Hey, thanks for listening to Doing Relationships Right. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast episodes. And please grab my books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda on my website, jenniferhurwitz.com. And look out for my new book, all about doing dating right, coming soon. As usual, thanks for listening. See you next week. Peace, love, and truth.